It's wild how our thoughts can shape our actions, and those actions start shifting our entire reality, for better or for worse. The power, it's within. No, really, slow down and let it sink in. The power is within you. There's no outside villain orchestrating your internal suffering. Yes, external factors matter. Environment, community, access, timing. They can all influence what expands or constricts, but even then, when you hit the wall, when you feel the ceiling, you're the one who decides what's next. Last week, I lost my shit. A new role was offered to me at work, something I didn't feel ready for. It felt very limiting, and I felt unequipped. You add some hormones and the anniversary of my dad's passing, and yeah, it all came undone. But even with all of that, when the storm passed, I was still here with choices to make. And this morning it hit me. My whole life has changed. New people, new opportunities, new energy, new me, really. This is an in-between, the bridge, the space where the old life feels familiar, but the new life, one I dreamed of, plastered on my vision board, journaled about, done the inner work for, isn't fully integrated yet. This part, it's the shaky wood and rope bridge hanging over a canyon. It creaks, it sways, and some planks are missing. But I can see the other side, and I've already come too far to turn back. No one's coming to save me. No one's going to walk it for me. So after the breakdown, I pick up the pieces. I take the next step, starting where I am, using what I have, trusting the path will rise to meet my feet. Here's to all of us bridge crossers, taking one shaky, brave step at a time, knowing we'll make it. You keep going, and so will I. This is something I wrote based on some emotion that I've been processing lately. And just to be very frank with you, I lost my shit last week. I just felt really overwhelmed in a new position that was offered to me at work, and just really feeling limited by lots of things in the environment, unequipped. I kept asking myself, like, is this fear? Is this fear? Is this fear? And I'm like, no, I'm not fearful. I'm not doubting my abilities to do whatever needs to be done. I just felt like there were all these limitations. Also, like I said, you sprinkle in some hormones, and the anniversary of my dad's passing, 5 years. It was on June 19th. And some years it doesn't really impact me much. I just am like, oh yeah, today's the day my dad passed away. But last week I just felt it coming all week long. And once the day finally hit, I was just a blubbering mess all day long, just really letting myself feel the waves and emotion of everything, just letting it process and move through me. So I thought about this situation of really having what I call the little minty breakdown over this new thing that I'm stepping into at work. And it's an area where we've had challenges for a while, and I just don't see how I'm going to help make it any better. And I want to win, and I want to do well. And I am also in an environment I've never worked in before, although I've been here almost 4 years now, but still I didn't come from tech and custom software. And in my leadership meeting on Monday, I asked each one of my team members to tell me if I'm overthinking this. Tell me if I'm making a bigger deal out of this than what it is. And what am I missing? Why does it feel so heavy and big and daunting? And then I just directly asked them, encourage me. Tell me that I'm going to be fine. And each one of them said some great things to me. But what really stood out to me is the CEO of the company. He said, I'm summarizing, but this is how I took what he said. Just be you. Just show up as yourself. This really isn't so much about getting up to speed in this area as it is about you just being you and doing what you do. Just be yourself. And this is the environment that has taught me that over the past 4 years, that I am safe to show up and speak. And I don't even doubt whether I'm able or allowed to do that anymore. I can guarantee you I will never show up in environments ever again in my life where I can't speak and show up as myself. And with everything else that's happened, especially over this past year and since turning 40 a few months ago, I'm like, why wouldn't something new happen and change and evolve around me? Because everything in me has changed and evolved. And this next phase, this next unfolding, this next chapter, it makes sense that what I work on daily would probably and most likely evolve as well. So after the complete meltdown, when you're left with the pieces, you're like, well, what am I going to do now? When you realize like nobody's coming, nobody's going to save you, nobody's going to fix it, nobody's going to map it out. And I'm trusted by this team to figure it out. And they have no doubt in me that I'm going to figure it out. And so it just leaves me with myself again to say, go, what are you doing? Get in there. You're not going to know all the answers. You're going to get in the middle of it and realize like, whoa, this is not the right way. This is not the right way to go. And the more that I learn as I'm getting older and I meet other people who have been on these entrepreneurial paths for a very long time, they still don't know what they're doing because they're always embarking on new parts of the adventure. And it's stuff that they've never discovered and they don't know how to do the thing that they're trying to do yet. They're going to figure it out while they're in motion. And so anyway, I wanted to share that with you today. And I wanted to tell you this story that I was reminded of, that I was like, I need to get on the podcast. I need to just get consistent back on the podcast again and start talking to my people again. And what I wanted to share was a few years ago, I was working at this company. So I had left a really awesome job. It was just taking more than it was giving, but it was high paying, high reward. It was fantastic. And I took some time off to write my first book, spend some time at home, decompress, figure out like who the heck I am now, because that job had taken all of me, all of my time and energy. It's probably why to this very day, I still can't halfway remember anything, because we worked around the clock constantly in addiction treatment, helping people get into treatment and helping save lives. But also we were a for-profit business and we were trying to make money and be profitable. So anyway, I went to get another job and it was in an office manager role. The one that I got was in an office manager role, significant pay cut and quite a journey away from my home. So I went from making six figures to not making six figures to an office manager role, when I don't really care about like where I am in the company, as long as I get to do something that's meaningful and there's fair compensation. And so anyway, I was in a position where I was like, I need to take something because I needed some insurance, and one of my children was in therapy, and we needed to therapy for some developmental stuff, and we needed to be able to just afford that. But I didn't want to go into any sort of high level positions, specifically around HR or leadership, because I wanted to be able to just go back home at the end of the day, do my job and leave it there and go home. So one day I'm in a meeting, and I'd never really been exposed to the team in this capacity and the leadership at this company. And I'm in this meeting, and this guy calls the whole team in there and tells them that the company is abruptly out of business and everybody has lost their job. And I'm still new at this point. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, I mean, I've worked for a company that was rated by the FBI and the IRS, and I've been through some stuff at work. You guys just wait till we get into those conversations one day. So I'm thinking, okay, so can we leave? I got to go find another job or whatever. I got to move on. And while everybody's sitting there in silence, kind of just taking in this message, he said, not really. We're still in business. We're doing great. Nobody's losing their job. I just wanted you all to know what it feels like to not have a job, so that maybe you would appreciate the fact that you do have a job and you would perform better. I looked around the room and I was like, in what warped world have I entered into? This is one of the most awful things that I've experienced. And this is crazy. At that moment, I realized I have to get out of here. I got to leave. I got to go. I just can't be here. So I go and I apply for all these jobs and I get these interviews and they're going well, but then something happens in the middle of the interviews that throws everything off course, or they just decide they don't want to hire me at that point. So I am stuck with this job. Like, obviously there's always a choice, you can quit, blah, 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 blah. But I needed this insurance. So I needed something. I needed to bridge that gap between one place to the next. And I remember this feeling of like, I can't do it. I can't keep going. I can't work for this person. I can't be here. There's nothing that I can do. I'm not going to go back into this type of environment again. But I couldn't get out. And I had this massive meltdown moment. I remember that I am a tequila drinker, right? So my husband drinks bourbon. And that night I came home, I was just so in distress that I wound up drinking Kentucky Mules, which is bourbon and ginger beer and lime and mint. And bourbon has a whole different effect than tequila. So I drink them pretty quickly. I am drinking them. I am getting so drunk quickly because I'm numbing the pain, right? Very aware of what I'm doing. I don't really care. I just don't want to feel it anymore. I just want to escape it for the moment. And that's what we're doing. I just will remember this night. I remember it was cold. I had like my big puffy coat on it. And Tony, I think, went to go take a shower or something. We were sitting out in the backyard and he went to go take a shower. And when he comes back out to check on me, I am in that coat and I'm laying flat out on my backyard ground, like just laying out in the backyard, staring up at the stars and bawling my eyes out, asking why the universe has forsaken me. Why are you leaving me in this? It was like this most dreadful feeling of like, I can't ever get up and do this ever again. And I remember Tony helping me get up, and I went and got in the shower, and I was so wasted. And I woke up the next morning and I had to go to work. And I was terribly, terribly hungover. And I remember driving on my way to work. I passed the exit that I needed to get off of, and I just kept driving, feeling like I was empowered to just keep going wherever the road was going to take me. And I went down a couple of exits, and I was like, girl, get your ass to work. So I looped around and pulled up in the parking lot and got out of the car and went in there and just sat in my feelings, in the numbness, in the hangover all day long, and hated everything about everyone and my life. And my work really impacts me. And I just felt like I am just so forsaken. And then I remember on my way home in the car, because it was a long drive home in traffic in Nashville, thinking to myself, I cannot feel like this. I cannot suffer at my own hands. I can't change the situation. The options that I do have are not good options. So I have to pick the one that makes the most sense and go with it. But I know I can't continue to feel this way and just be in this suffering because of myself. I just can't. I've tried to get out of here. I'm going to continue to try to get out of here. But I just have to figure out like how to endure and how to accept and how to move forward. So I went home and I got some good sleep, probably ate a lot of carbs that night and just got some good sleep. And I woke up the next morning with a fresh attitude, still kind of beat up, like that beat up feeling. But I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be an office manager here at this place with this crazy, hierarchy and environment and leadership, I am going to serve these people here because they are being abused. And the least that I could do is just bring value in the work to our clients and to our people and just shine a little bit of light and serve them in ways that only I can, because I possess the power and the energy and the gifts to be able to do that. And so I'm going to make that my mission instead of trying to change this leadership and change this style and change what this person does. And as long as he's not doing it to me directly, that'll be a whole different situation and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But this is what I'm going to do. So I remember getting like poopery for the bathrooms because it was a small office. There were always jokes about like everything being so stinky in there. So I went and got poopery and put that in the bathrooms and just decorated the bathrooms up a little better so that it could be this like really nice place to just go do your business and rest. I remember in the kitchen, I would come in early every morning and I would make sure that coffee cups were out, that the coffee machine was ready to go, that everything was filled up with like water and all the supplies that we needed. And then I would go to Walmart, at work. I would go to Walmart and I would get all these different types of creamers and options. And it was these little things that I remember the team was so like happy about and like, oh, like who did this? April, are you doing this? And then we had this supply closet up front. And I remember thinking like anything I can do to help them be able to do their job better, whether that's having sticky notes and notepads and pens and everything they need ready to go and organized and, you know, have an inventory of things. I'm going to do that for them. And I went and just like this closet up front was disastrous and I organized it and I put everything in there. So anytime somebody would come up to me and say, hey, do you know where I could find an extra pen? I point at the closet, and inside the closet was a list of like what we need more of. So people could write on that list if they see that we were getting ready to run out of anything. And it just, the area where I sat became this little community hub for people to drop in and talk to me. And then one day I remember everybody coming out of like a big meeting, because I was never in those meetings. I was always just like on the outside as the office manager at the front. And people just started coming out and talking to me, people who had never talked to me before. And they said that this leader had told them, you need to be like April. Look at how she carries herself. Look at how she works. Look at what she does. Everybody should go introduce themselves to her, learn her ways, and be more like her. And I remember being overwhelmed by what? I didn't even know anybody was even paying attention to me. And I wound up making some really great connections there. And within a few months, I got promoted to another role. And then within a year after that, I was promoted in another role. And so although the leadership style was not something I always agreed with at all, hardly ever agreed with, we were doing some good work to help people, and I got to work with some really incredible people along the way. And I say all this to say, I have this saying, you're going to hear me say it all the time because it's my thing that I say, is that sometimes it's not about the room that you walk in or the door that you open. It's about who you meet while you're inside the room. And I have to take my own advice here. In my new opportunity that I've gotten is that it's not about the door that I just opened. It's about what's going to happen when I get in the room. What am I going to learn? Who am I going to become? Who am I going to meet? Who am I going to help? Who am I going to serve? What's going to bring my soul to life in ways that I didn't even know brings my soul to life right now in this current state of who I am? And so I'm trust falling and leaning in and walking across that bridge that's all rickety and crazy and shaky and a little questionable as I journey onto the other side, because I'm not who I was and I'm not fully integrated in to who I'm becoming. But when I reframe it and think about it, instead of being like, oh, no, oh my gosh, things are changing and I'm not going to be good at it and I'm going to fail and all of that crazy, wild stuff that creates suffering in our own minds, I'm looking across that bridge and I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, we've done so much work to get where we are and things feel a little shaky and rough and crackly right now. But think about all the other times, drop my chapstick, think about all the other times that you've been on a bridge like this and you just go on right across. You cannot fail when you're learning. And so I just wanted to get on here today, openly share what's been going on with me lately. And just let you know, no matter who you're watching online or what you're listening to or how people carry themselves or people within your organization that look like they have it all together and they're getting promotions and they're the top of the leadership group, we're all literally just figuring this out. And you are figuring things out too. As long as you're figuring things out and willing to continue to keep taking the steps, it doesn't mean you're not going to get drunk in your backyard and stare up at the sky and scream at the universe for forsaking you. It doesn't mean you're not going to try to escape the box and feel like you're suffocating and you've got to take control and get yourself out. It doesn't mean you're not going to take a risk and quit your job and go start that business because you know you can figure it out. It's just about continuing to move. And sometimes moving is being drunk in your back porch or in your backyard. And sometimes it's just pulling yourself back together and saying, I guess we'll just see what the next step holds for me. That's all you got to do. Just take the next step. What's the one thing that you could do today to take that step? What does that look like for you? Don't worry about what it all looks like. Don't worry about what success looks like. Don't worry about what the outcome is. What's the one step you can take today? You got this. You're capable and you can figure it out. You keep going and so will I. Deal?